Well, awesome. Okay, so let's jump into it if it's up for you. So, all right, tell us a little bit more about your journey into real estate, how you even got into it, and then past that, what elevated you into luxury.
Yeah, I have fun history behind how I stepped into this and a little bit of a battle to get into real estate, to be frank. We were missionaries in Peru when I was really young, so very familiar with, the space of kind of getting outside of your comfort zone and getting to know people. And so when we moved back to the States when I was about 5 years old, I was very stubborn, but thought we were just renewing our visas instead of actually moving back to the States full time. So wouldn't speak Spanish. So, but, still had that, kind of drive and step outside the box, if you will.
Hmm.
So from there, we lived Georgia, Tennessee. So transitioned to the beach about 10 years ago. And the transition here, actually, believe it or not, was sort of in, honor of my stepdad's mom, who this was her happy place, was being at the beach, being able to have this lifestyle. And so it was really a beautiful thing to be able to transition here and to kind of honor her memory with doing that. And then as we transitioned to the beach, had family that had history that was in the construction world. And then had actually my mom and now in-law, my mother-in-law, that were in the real estate field when they came down into this space. And so construction industry and real estate was kind of in my blood, but my intention was really never to step into this.
Hmm.
I actually was thinking that I was going to be able to get my yoga instructor's license and start a studio. And so I was planning to spend about 6 months in Costa Rica.
Hmm.
Plans totally fell through. Taught English as a second language in Bali, Indonesia. And while I was doing that, a volcano decided to erupt. So that trip got cut short. Came back and really was, trying to figure out where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. My heart has always been to connect with people,
Hmm.
to check in on them, to see what was doing. I've always had friends at a distance. So the relationship aspect of it was totally understandable to me.
Hmm.
And then a huge drive behind me is very much education, being able to consistently grow myself, build myself. And so kind of started shadowing when we were actually still Hillary Reverie and started to just understand what was happening, saw the ability to, number one, educate people, number two, build relationships, and number three, help people grow this legacy, make money at the short of it, and then also, create this lifestyle, and started to really fall in love with what that looked like, and this ability to continue to enhance yourself and grow. I also had the opportunity to run a small boutique marketing firm and then do, yeah, a little bit of wedding coordination as well after I got married. So I was a day of wedding coordinator. So this idea of processes, systems,
Hmm.
marketing, relationships, it really created this perfect bundle for what I wanted. Stepped into real estate and really went full on with educating myself, was able to get my broker's associate really quickly. I've had my broker associate for almost 3 years now. So it's been, really fantastic just to be able to step in and create this opportunity to, number one, introduce what this lifestyle looks like for other people.
Hmm.
I've seen the beach lifestyle from all aspects. I was office manager for a beach concierge service, so saw it from the service side, and
Yeah.
then also follow that all the way through for what it looks like to live this lifestyle. I've run chairs, I've done beach bonfires, I've
Hmm.
seen what it looks like for you to be able to raise a family at the beach and show them what 4th of July looks like when you're on the boat or when you're on the beach, and you can see it all the way down the stretch. Like, it's just this incredible opportunity. So sharing that with other people has honestly been such a true delight for me.
No, that's amazing. The more I think I'm in the quote unquote luxury space, it becomes more people who are driven like concierge minded. We know that it's just you're trying to understand people's lifestyles, their needs, their wants, and try to make do the best we can to serve. I'm actually my thing heading into next year is servant leadership, and it's funny how it applies like across the board. And all things that we've done. That's a wild story, though. I mean, that's what I'm not thinking excited about doing these podcasts is, I get to know people already and connect and have friendships, but a lot of us are so busy you don't get a chance to see their backgrounds. Excuse me, happens to me every time. Sorry, clear my throat. And yeah, that's wild. I had no recollection. That's how you got into it across the board. How long have you guys been down at the beach?
So I have been here for nearly 10 years. And then
Oh
my
wow.
husband, he is who I say, I always bring the culture to the relationship for him because he's actually lived it for his entire life. And so it's been a fun mix to be able to, have his history and then also bring in some of the fresh outlook on it as well.
Well, and then if you've been down there that long, like you guys have seen 38 completely change, like a lot of us have. I mean, I think I told you I used to go down there a lot. Proposed to Melissa, my wife, down at Seaside, but now it's just crazy, just how big it's gotten. And one thing we'll probably touch on too. I'd be curious to see, like how Panama City is starting to kind of revamp. I think you've kind of allotted to how there's a lot of history with us in the South that have different kind of memories of Panama City, and it seems like things are starting to transform out that way. I guess on that vein, not to take away from you know your intro into the space, but like, what changes are you seeing as like 38 has gotten saturated in some areas, but it's also really been refined. But I guess where do you see geographically how things are kind of spreading, and then a lot of the good things that are coming out of that?
It's been really exciting. So, one thing I love about our area is that we have this incredible opportunity for investment. We've seen that opportunity continue to thrive through pandemic market where, when planes are shut down, cruises are shut down, people could still drive here. That's what made our area so lucrative is we've always been this drive destination. So no matter what, you could get here, still have this incredible experience of what the Gulf is. But I love the word that you used, which was refined. I think that's such a perfect way to describe our area. And it's been refined from both the second home and investment opportunity as well as a primary space. And that's been the really exciting piece is when people have this opportunity to shift to more of a at home or work from home opportunity, we saw such an excitement because they finally found that this lifestyle they've been daydreaming of not
Mhm.
just making it a beach vacation, but making it the true opportunity and lifestyle shift for your family was achievable.
Yeah.
And so that has created a refining not only to our second home investment space, but also to our primary residence. So from the second home investment, we've seen that refining, right? From this refining for the Panama City Beach market,
Mhm.
to your point, with a lot of new development that stepped into that space in a huge way. So right now, some really exciting pieces that are coming into that area. Top Golf is being developed out. So we have this incredible land that's already been cleared where you can see Top Golf coming in, which is going to be incredible for an already really exciting opportunity and family friendly space that's been recreated here. And then also Dolly Parton is actually creating a new dining experience. So she's doing a pirate dining experience that they're going to have here. So that's the other really new exciting thing. But to Panama City Beach's point, they also have done a real refining moment to go from what used to be more of this opportunity for people to come in for spring break and enjoy their time
Mhm.
off to creating a space that families feel very comfortable to bring to transition in, to feel safe, to feel protected, and then also feel like they can spend tons of time here. So Panama City Beach has seen a really exciting new development with just a lot of cool entertainment space. Gulf Coast Jam is huge. We just had Morgan Wallen that was our headliner for last year. This next year we have Lainey Wilson coming in, like huge for this entertainment space that's really taking off in this area. The scuttlebutt is also that Kid Rock has purchased out. This is totally not verified yet, but that Kid Rock has purchased out where Club La Vila was.
Okay.
That used to be a big entertainment opportunity. And so the thought process is there may be a really good other entertainment space. But to that point, Tootsie's was also at Pier Park and is now moving to where we had, another smaller onset right next to La Vila. So again, this whole entertainment aspect, this whole opportunity for families to come in is really just getting expounded upon in Panama
Mhm.
City Beach. And that's why the brokerage's new development that we're offering, which is Hadley's Beach on the east end, is super exciting because it's probably one of the first opportunities that you have for this Gulf front and first tier luxury development that is just coming out beautifully. So again, to speak to the whole refining there, it's such an exciting time to be able to see these opportunities come up from that second home investment. And then from the primary space, we have just killer exciting movement that's happening
Mhm.
across the Emerald Coast. Alice Beach has taken off in a huge way because I think because people had this opportunity for um, that work from home conversation and this opportunity to really create that. Alice Beach has just seen so much excitement right now because people truly have loved this opportunity for community,
Yeah.
the incredible amenities that it offers, and obviously this beautiful lifestyle. I mean, seeing digital graffiti just come into this incredible, beautiful event that it is, which digital graffiti, just for anyone that's not familiar, they
Hmm.
actually take artists' work and they digitally broadcast it onto the walls at Alice Beach. So it's this incredible opportunity for art and architecture to come together in this seamless blend. One of my favorite events to be able to attend, but that has been huge for the 30A market. We've also seen a lot of other non-rental communities take off, Camp
Hmm.
Creek being one of the most exciting. That one is a huge development that actually partners with and has an opportunity for people to become members at one of our private beach clubs. It comes with the purchase of the lot or the home side or the home, excuse me. So, waives an initiation fee, gives people the opportunity to step into that. And then the amenities for this, private club, I'm talking 3 golf courses. We have a sporting clays course. There's a private plane that's involved. I mean, it's just when we talk about lifestyle, like that is what
Yeah.
it is. And
Right.
so seeing that in both the primary space and the second home market, and then even just north of 30A,
Hmm.
we've also got the community of Freeport, which is potentially slated to be one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Florida
Hmm.
because of such growth, because we have all these people that want to be here. So to say that our area is refining, I think, again, I just love that term. And I think it's the perfect way to describe what's happening here in such a huge way.
No, I'm glad you shared all those details genuinely. 'Cause for one, I know you're super passionate about it and you devote so much of your time studying what's going on down that way. But I think, from a Birmingham standpoint and even Nashvilleian standpoint as well, I think people need to really hear the changes that are going on because there's still a lot of people that think, with how saturated, I shouldn't say saturated, but just how so many people have discovered, the seaside and the Alice Beach and the Rosemary. There's just people don't realize the added developments in their head. I think there's still a lot of people that assume that I can't afford anything that's over, or anything is even close to a million or 2 million, and so they don't take the time to really research what's going on down there. There's this natural default to like Orange Beach, over at the other part of Alabama. And so I definitely, I'm already trying to send more people your way so they can really start to understand the expansion that's going on and actually revitalize a place that so many of us have remembered as a kid and then see it get overcrowded, to an extent, and not realizing that there's just so many opportunities that are growing like crazy. The digital graffiti, when is that this year? Do you know off the top of your head? It's okay if you don't.
So they actually usually do it right around the summer months.
Okay,
So it's actually happened for this year,
got it.
but of course next year is a huge conversation. And to your point too, I mean, the secret is out, right? People
Hmm.
have learned about the Emerald Coast. Not everybody, I'll say that for
Yeah.
sure, but it is exciting to share. And once you get here, it is totally understandable why people fall in love with this area and fall in love with the space. But it is so exciting to be able to share with people these lifestyle points that truly make a difference. So digital graffiti being one of the most exciting. The other one that actually is coming up for this off-season month is going to be Songwriters Festival that happens around January.
Yeah.
So that's the other really exciting one. And Songwriters, they actually take a, and it's a perfect opportunity to explore the Emerald Coast
Hmm.
just because you have setups in so many different slates of the beach communities that we have. And so you get to experience what each community sort of speaks to.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's the really, and while you're doing it, obviously listen to these incredible songwriters that come in. One of the favorite things that I have that our office here on 30A has done is we typically end up being a venue location. And so last year we kicked off actually having a lot of our songwriters come and sign one of the um, items that we have that's hanging on the wall. And so now we have all these songwriters, autographs on this piece. And it's just really special because you come together, you have just this opportunity to, it was actually one of my first dates with my husband. And
Mm.
it's so funny because I just so remember that moment, and you feel so at peace, and you're like, this is just incredible listening to this, being surrounded around all these other people that are so like-minded and just really want to soak in this moment. So it's
Yeah.
very, very special. I love that event.
No, it makes so much sense to be in such a beautiful setting that people, even people that we know that travel all over the world, still say 38 is one of the best spots you can ever find. And
Yeah.
then to be around people who are ambitious, that's trying to grow their, they're just excited, they're passionate to be there, but just to soak it all in is. I know that you're somebody that definitely like pinches yourself on the regular to know that not everybody has the opportunity to live in the environment that you're in, and you chose to be there and make a life there, and it's exciting. Before I forget, the digital graffiti thing, something we probably could talk about offline, but that's something I've actually considered using that methodology from listing a house. I don't know if I've ever shared that with you before. It's an idea that I had in the past. If there's ever a way to like leverage like digital graffiti in the evenings, on a house that's being listed, whether it's information sharing that's across there or it's something that draws attention to the home. Um, I don't know if you've ever thought about an avenue to do that. I kind of went down a rabbit hole a couple of years ago that could be a kind of a unique way to market a property. But anyway.
One thing that I love, just to speak to entrepreneurs as a whole, anytime that we can either, partner together with a lot of local events and be a sponsor, I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece of it, we love ticket giveaways, being able to also invite people to experience this if they haven't had the opportunity. So that's been a great way to share properties and be able to market them out, is because we both know that marketing is a huge avenue of real estate, and it's about making sure that we get this special home into the eyes of the person that needs to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to also partner with a ticket giveaway, know that these people get to experience this incredible event, and then also being able to make sure that we're not missing the right people that need to see a home, has been a really great way for us to share out both the local experience of our area, and then also making sure that we don't miss anybody when we get to market a home.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. There's so many ways of doing it, and it's just trying to be innovative, and then but the opportunity to get people, out and about and kind of explore what they're looking for always makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, let's go, if you're open to it, let's go a little bit deeper into the world of luxury. I have a feeling that it may not be something that you sought after, but it's just an environment of people that you just became around, and now you want to keep going on that path. But what has been your kind of your take into, and even some struggles, maybe breaking into luxury, the luxury market, and then also just what you feel like you've taken away from Corcoran Reverie and the leverage piece on that as well. Yeah.
One thing that I have always loved about both Hillary and what she stood for, even when we were Hillary Reverie, and then also the mergers that we have had into Corcoran Reverie, and what Corcoran stands for is truly this opportunity that luxury is defined by a level of service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I so resonated with what our brokerage stands for, what we stand for, and this opportunity of being able to mirror the quote of live who you are, right? Because it is truly this opportunity to say, when I say luxury, it's because I epitomize the level of service that I want to provide to you. And so that's truly why I feel like I stepped into this space, and it was so easy for me, because that's what I value. That's how I want people to be treated. And that's how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
I want to be educated to the highest level of education. I want to feel something when I leave an experience, and I know what that feels like. I still remember, and this is one of the first things that I remembered when I was first looking at this. I was a little girl, and this is such a silly example, but I walked into Cece's, the pizza place, right? Yeah. It's a pizza bar. You go in, you get a tray. I was probably 7 or 8 at the time. And I walked in, got the tray, and it was where you went after a softball game. And everybody's like, where are we eating that we can feed all the kids really inexpensively, right?
Same.
Walked in, got this pizza, and this guy looked at me, and I really wanted the barbecue chicken pizza. And he goes, for you, princess, I will absolutely make that barbecue chicken pizza. He made me an entire barbecue chicken pizza, and he brought it tableside and made sure I got served the one slice. Now, this is probably something that they do for people all the time, right? If you requested a pizza, they'd make you a pizza, serve you the pizza, tell you what's there, whatever. But he looked at me, and he just made me feel something. He made me feel special. He made me feel like I was important enough to take the time to go step by step and make you feel that way. And that was one of the first experiences I had, just to be made to feel like I was somebody important enough to be looked at and taken care of. And through my life, it's situations like that where you were taken care of and made to feel something different. And being able to make people feel like they're important is such an exciting, it's so exciting, and it's so filling to make people, you make them understand how worthy that they are to experience that. And so that's why I think luxury has been, when I speak to luxury, it's so easy for me, because I'm like, you deserve to be made to feel like you're important. You deserve to be made to feel like you're worthy. Because I also just, I believe that. So,
No, thank you for sharing. It's so spot on because, like, from my first business was the home fit business, and and again, we're going into people's homes, so it's very vulnerable situation.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but that also means you have an opportunity to help people feel seen, feel heard, and really understand their lifestyles to best help serve them. And then that's honestly truly what got me into real estate as well. I knew there was a clear overlap as far as like both businesses because most of my clients were already homeowners, typically more affluent lifestyles, so like I could already speak to that. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, real estate for a lot of people is one of the biggest things you'll ever deal with. And it should be dealt with care. It should be on us to really understand what they're looking for, what they want to envision, what they want to feel, not just in the next year, but the next 5, 10, 20 years as well. And the fact to be able to embrace that, I think, is huge. I tend to run into sometimes is if people in my network, sometimes they're just say, it is kind of funny how they'll reach out and be like, do you only sell luxury? Like they're almost afraid to ask me, like it'd be demeaning. I'm like, I will absolutely sell and help you purchase or sell whatever you want to, and will treat you with the same level of respect and care. Because again, luxury is all about the service and about understanding the lifestyle, and everybody is important. Everybody deserves the same opportunity, to be able to do it. And once you gain that level of trust, I mean, you can help them expand their insight to your point, like the education part of how can you leverage real estate to enhance your income or maybe a monetary safe haven, these things. And I still have a lot to learn, especially from you in that kind of secondary market space as well. And I genuinely feel like at some point you'll be able to really help me even expand my insight into that and leveraging it for my family's betterment. But yeah, it's so funny because CC's was the same thing for me growing up. It was the post ball game type situation. But that makes so much sense what you're saying. And it's like people sometimes forget. It's just stop and pay attention to the person and just take care of them. If you have the ability to do something special, it honestly it doesn't take that much more effort, to
Mm-mm.
go out of your way to do it. So no, I appreciate you sharing. As far as Corcoran Reverie, which I'm so blessed to be a part of that brand. I hate that I'm not around you guys even more. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But what do you feel like from an international standpoint? Because I know you do a really good job of connecting with people. What do you feel like the benefits that Corcoran has been able to bring to us as a collective, not just from a referral standpoint, but even from, I guess, a knowledge standpoint of how to better our abilities as agents? What do you feel like are some big takeaways that you've gotten from partnering with them?
I love that question, because I feel like there's been so much that I would never have traded stepping into Corcoran Reverie. Number one is, even just our leadership team that we have as a whole for us specifically, I think has been, bar none, just to be able to have people that are at your fingertips and really be able to share with both buyers and sellers the team that we have supporting us and that's standing behind us and willing to, assist us in every single stance. And then on a broader sense for Corcoran, the trainings that we have available, I already shared that my heart is to education.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I've got as much education as I could possibly want and more at my fingertips, I think has always been invaluable to me. Everything from, having the care to do, mindfulness and being able to step in at the first of this year doing our ninja training,
Mm-hmm.
which was just absolutely incredible. And then always being challenged just to grow more. I've never been told, I've always been told ways that I can excel my business and exceed my business. And so being able to have that so available is something that I absolutely have loved. And I think at Corcoran, it's always been that. And then in addition to it, I said my heart is also behind marketing, and to be
Mm-hmm.
able to see the true it is the reminder that luxury is not what we just spoke to, right? Luxury is not a price point. It is a opportunity to care for people
Hmm.
exactly where they're at.
Right.
And seeing that mirrored in who Corcoran is as an actual brand, and the fact that that has been across the brand for so long. I mean, watching people like Christina Panos and what she's created with this marketing,
Hmm.
and really showing people, regardless of what your home is valued at, what the value is for you.
Hmm.
It's that ability to curl up with your family and have a midnight snack. For us here, it's the ability to park your car and walk to things that you want to access, whether it's restaurants, whether it's shops and boutiques, whether it's taking your dog down the street and not feeling, worried about how you guys are going to get back, and if you're going to be in a, dangerous area to do so.
Yeah.
So being able to see that mirrored across the board and that voice being brought everywhere we go is just incredible. One thing that I loved that I had a customer tell me one time, I had the opportunity to work with them on some properties here in our area, and they actually went a little bit further south and were looking for properties. They said they were just on a vacation quick, didn't even think to call me about it because, they were just doing their own thing. So they reached out to an agent on, realtor.com, one of the third party sites,
Hmm.
had them show him around. And they said, our first experience was a little bit odd just because of, just getting to know each other, but we tried to overlook that. Started, driving around with this person, and really just felt like there was a lackluster in that, that person they were trying to partner with, understanding them,
Hmm.
getting what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like there was a lot of education behind it. And then they looked over and they saw a Corcoran sign for one of the local offices in that area.
Hmm.
And they stopped and they said, man, we should have called Abigail to see who she could have partnered us with.
Yeah.
Because number one, it was brand recognition, which was incredible
Hmm.
because it's so easy to recognize that color bar anywhere that you go. And number two, it was the reminder of the level of service they were receiving. And that's the difference, is that I think that we know so much that because we have the education at our fingertips, we also know that anybody that we do partner with, that we do refer to, is
Hmm.
going to bring that same standard and level of service they want to provide whenever we do have someone else that we need to refer. Because, we have somebody that wants to buy out of state or finds a
Hmm.
lifestyle that's a better resource, or an investment that's a better resource in a different area. And so that's the other thing I absolutely love, is because I know that my associates are also held to the same standard. They also
Hmm.
want to provide that same standard, which I love.
Yeah. I mean, that's why. Yeah. I mean, that's why I think why I got into luxury to begin with, because I felt like a lot of times people are going to want to operate at a higher level, and you don't always find that. Sometimes people just have a good network and they can get into luxury space that way. But that's one thing I've truly loved, and I love like our partnership as well, because it's the same level of like trust, I think in each other to be able to not only take care of people and provide a service and get there, but to make just such a befriending, type approach, I think is important. And now you have some clients that, that are more aggressive, more investment forward driven, which is totally fine. But I think the relatability standpoint, people always want to do business with people that they like, you know, and trust. So no, I completely agree. It's definitely been another, like I said, honor and blessing to be a part of Corcoran, and Corcoran Reverie and Corcoran.
Mm-hmm.
When we had that meeting, what year ago, 2 years ago in Tennessee, and just to be able to meet people from, Gavin down in the Bahamas, and then people out in Colorado and Hawaii, the people that come in, and it was just a similarity. We all have different personalities, but there was a reason that they were drawn to that type of approach, and helping people, yeah, live who you are. I think is so key. So I'm excited to expand out in that. Okay, from a transparent standpoint, which you're a transparent person, what in the space of luxury, how do you feel like, of course, you being down in 30A, you get to see not just general luxury, you get to see more high net worth, ultra high net worth kind of sales down there for sure. Where do you feel like you are, if you don't mind me asking, like from a comfort level and a skill level, like stepping in to obtain more, even more affluent clients? Like what's been the struggle for you getting into that market personally? Where do you feel like you are now, and then where do you aspire to be, if that makes sense at all?
Mm-hmm. I think, when I first got into the industry, especially from the marketing standpoint, I stepped into the industry at a very young age, and I still have a very youthful face, which I'm told, is going to pay off for me one day. I'm definitely not the oldest person in the room by any means, and I appreciate that for the most part, because that just means that I get to learn so much more. But to that point, especially when I first got into the industry, when I was doing just the small things that you do as a business owner, right? You start your Instagram page, you start your Facebook page, you're ordering business cards. My fear was always to put my face on that because of this aspect of, are people actually judging the book by the character?
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, judging the book by the cover,
Yeah.
right? And from that standpoint, that was always my fear when I first stepped into it. And then you realize, as I started to grow in the industry and I started to step into that, first of all, my face is going to come with me. They're going to come on a showing. It's not always going to be virtual. I'm not always going to be able to hide behind a camera. And to that effect, too, people wanted to see me live this lifestyle because I am very passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought that I would be comfortable to be in one place. I shared how much our family moved around. I thought that I was going to consistently want to have this opportunity to never really make a home base.
Mm-hmm.
And being comfortable to do that, it's so valuable actually, because I can share with other people why.
Yeah.
Why would you make Florida home? And I can be honest about it, because at one point I never knew why anybody would. And so finally stepping out and being very comfortable and confident and in who, I was as both a person, personally, and in the space of real estate and my business, I think was huge for me, because it allowed me to, both be confident when I stepped in front of anyone, regardless who it was, and being able to share with them what my value was. And so I think it's not, a standpoint of, it's just being able to know what value that I bring to the table. And now I truly feel like I can step in and explain to people what that value is, because that's what everybody wants to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, it really is, what value are you providing to others? And that was what I needed to be able to, number one, be confident in and understand, and then also be able to articulate in a way that made sure that I could also say, hey, are we actually a good partnership? Are you going to receive the value that I feel like I can provide to you? Because sometimes that's the really funny thing, is that we want to say, I've done this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
But the reality is when you step into that relationship, regardless of what small business that you're running, we have to make sure that the people that we're partnered with are going to be able to receive the value that we feel like we can provide to them. And if they aren't in a place where they can receive that, that's probably not a partnership that we need to step into. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And being okay with not being a good partner for every single person was the other really good lesson that you have to learn at some point, right? It is totally okay to look at some people and go, I really think that this is a partnership that maybe is best suited for somebody else. And here's the reasons why, that we may not just be the best partners for each other. And I think that's the other really good opportunity to just know about yourself, because you need to know who you're going to be best suited for.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's funny how the deeper you get, the more authenticity is key. And then also finding that fine line of not necessarily just coming in and blowing people up with what you've done or you can do. It's like you got to focus on the person too. Listen and receive what they need and then speak to those values. I have seen some people that come in and they're overbearing with what they've done. A lot of people don't care what you've done. It's like how you make them feel. And obviously that's the biggest situation. And there is times when to, drop the strengths and the tools and the technology that we have and in a lot of ways and tease those. But I mean, at the end of the day, the results are what people want. I will say from a consumer standpoint, consumer to you watching your expansion, your video game is on point. And I do think that's probably something that is continuing to elevate you. If you don't mind me sharing this kind of insight, like watching your brand grow, is I do think one of the best ways for, let's say others out there that may have the gift of looking young for the next 20 or 30 years, but also, like you say, it can be a little crippling until they get to see you or meet you. But I think social media game and your video game, it just elevates and really immediately expresses your skills and your ability to deliver. And if people are already being sucked in and drawn in by the more properties that you're showing, obviously in return for listings, that's going to be huge, because people, it's like, well, if you're already doing this for other people, I already trust your skill set. So it's definitely shining, and I think I'm excited to see it, and I have so much to learn from you when it comes to just telling a story, because you do a great job of telling the story regardless of whatever you're. I mean, just like the barn dominium, I was gonna kind of delay it, but I know there's a lot of people that still ask me, especially in Tennessee and in Alabama, what it's like to build their own barn dominium. But you told that story well. What's the where can people find that story for y'all on YouTube?
Yeah, so our YouTube name is called Farm Fixins. My husband and I have always had that dream to build a barnuminium. Actually, when we were first dating, both of us, we would talk about it and we were like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to build a barnuminium as well. That's always been our dream. So one day we decided, we were riding in the car together and I was like, well, let's draw it, because we were actually with some family. We were on a family trip before we convinced them to transition to the beach. So we drew it, and he is a civil engineer and a general contractor. So of course his looked like an actual set of plans, and mine was like a pretty picture, because that's how I draw. And it was probably one of the most special things. But yeah, we've since been able to share that with people by doing this YouTube channel that I was very ambitious to decide we were going to do. But special to us, number one, to share out, right? And number two, hopefully, whenever we decide to expand our family in 3 to 5 years, that'll be something that we can also have this digital timestamp to say, this is what we were experiencing. This is what it looked like. This is the blood, sweat, and tears that we physically and quite literally put into this home. So it's been a very special journey to be able to share. But to that point, to be able to do that for your business is also a really special journey to share, because it is so funny that in some cases, you're right to say, number one, this could be the largest investment that most people make. Mm-hmm. And number two, there's a lot of education that needs to come out there, both from the primary perspective, second home perspective, and investment. And to be able to take those blinders off and to give them a look into what this actually means, to be able to educate people on what is a 1031 exchange. How do I leverage the benefits of what an FHA loan can give to me? Mm-hmm. There's so many things that, unless you're educated, you never even know how to ask the question. And finally, with the technology enhancements that we have, to be able to deliver a snippet of that and then allow them to come to a professional, find a great partner, mm-hmm. and say, hey, I want to learn more. Please help me. That is such a tool that we have at our fingertips. We just need to be willing and vulnerable enough to step in front of the camera and just share with people what you have at your fingertips. Share with them how amazing the lifestyle is that you get to live, and why would they even want to live there, whether it's in Tennessee, whether it's in Florida, whether that looks like for you. Mm-hmm. Why is your product amazing with whatever you're selling? And finally, take those blinders off instead of just acting like, well, it's great, you're going to love it, come here and I'll tell you all about it. So yeah, I think it's way more of a tool, but we have to be willing and vulnerable to share that with other people.
Yeah, and it is hard. I've struggled a decent amount this year trying to get back in front of the camera, and I think sometimes it's because there's so much that we do know and you don't know where to start. A lot of times it's like, just start asking me questions and I can just really unload it. So I've tried to do better from a business standpoint to write down those topics that are most common and frequently asked. One trick I have also learned, just as we're both starting to grow into this, and you may not need it, but there's times I'm long-winded and I can easily get sidetracked. So I've started using an app called Big View, BIGVU. So it's a teleprompter type app. It takes a little bit of time to kind of get used to it, but that's helped me do some much faster, like video recordings, and you can get to the point to where it's like feels more personal, because you want to still come across as genuine and not reading a teleprompter. But that's kind of been a barrier, or helping me overstep a barrier. Sometimes you know the topic, but then you're kind of stuck with like, how do I want to convey it? Where a lot of us are good about typing out kind of what we want to say, and then how do we translate it? And throwing that thing into a teleprompter has actually been pretty game changing for me. So I don't know if that's a tip for you or anybody watching or listening, but that's been key, because people don't know, and people want to know. They want to know what's going on and how they can just learn more about what. It's just, things are ever changing, especially in this world, but also in the world of real estate. Well, I do think it'd be kind of cool to do maybe a separate. Of course, you have a lot of insight, so definitely for on the barn dominium, people go watch y'all's videos, because there's a lot that you've learned. But That might be another, if you're open to it. I don't know if you've ever done another outlet, on helping people understand how to go about building a barn dominium, but I do get a lot of questions, and there's things I still don't know from a licensing standpoint, permit standpoint. Yeah, I definitely can. That's a whole another episode, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So we're getting close. I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I know the day's kind of busy on a Monday for us. One thing, if you don't mind me kind of bringing up, and then we'll transition to a couple of like the rapid fire, segment for some fun questions, then maybe some insight that you can give to the people. So I know it's super fresh. I know we're still kind of building this thing out, but I'm grateful for you being willing to explore this athlete and entertainer like real estate approach, and I'm grateful. And I brag on you probably more than I do even the branding of that component, because I'm so excited that you're willing to be a counterpart for this. But I think the concept for that is the origin of it really is the more that I've started thinking about, obviously luxury real estate, and there's plenty of people in various spaces of their life, but when you step into the world of like professional athletes, or in some states with like the NIL, component for even college athletes that are, monetarily getting opportunity to play, understanding their lifestyles is different, a lot of times from general population, from vacations to investment to renting, things like that. And then the entertainment phase of, different musicians that we get to see, different artists, even influencers. There's another whole other layer that I think will be huge to get into, because in essence, they are entertainers as well, and can come into a large amount of money and also need advice on how to navigate that space from a real estate component. But I know since we've chatted, since you've thought about it some more, and as we kind of roll it out, I guess what are some thoughts and kind of insight, or I guess excitement that you're taking away from having this athlete and entertainer real estate group as kind of a subset for us as we move forward? Just curious.
Yeah, from the athlete and entertainer standpoint, I think the excitement piece is exactly what you shared, right? Number one, if you've had the opportunity to work as hard as these athletes and entertainers have, to be able to step into a space of being able to have, whether that's second home at the beach, being able to share with them, number one, the slice of paradise that it is here.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, the opportunity for that to be achievable. To that point as well, being able to again educate on how they can continue to build their portfolio and make sure that the opportunity they've been given, the financial enhancement they've been able to step into, and that affluence they've been able to step into, how to make that potentially break some generational curses.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a lot of cases, we've got so many athletes and entertainers that did not come from this same opportunity. They didn't come from this same situation, and they've grinded and they have worked to be there, and they deserve to be able to, number one, create a different lifestyle for themselves and for the family to come. And I think being able to step into a place of educating, showing how this can be a reality for them, and then also showing them how they can achieve the daydream that they've been wanting and that they've been thinking about for so long. I mean, how incredible is it that we have an opportunity to even be able to do that? So that's where I think it's really special, is because I so mirror that thought process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of being able to just grind and get there and going, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And having somebody that's there beside you that goes, I have been following along. I am so
Yeah.
excited for you. And this is what we're going to do now that you've stepped into this space.
Mm-hmm.
What a really honor to be able to step beside these people and allow them to continue to do something different for themselves and their family. So I think that's what's really the exciting piece about athletes and entertainers and this whole opportunity, is to be able to speak to that and be able to really make sure that they have a trusted resource beside them.
Well, I'm glad you said the word trusted, because I do think I've already I've learned over the years with kind of operating at this, with this different type of clientele and their lifestyles, that, trust is huge, because there's so many people that come out of the woodworks that try to take advantage of them. And you've got to be able to, break through that and be your genuine self and have discretion, with the movement pieces that are going on in their lives and their families' lives and everything about it. And I think it just makes so much sense for us to have that in our arsenal to be able to deliver. I know I could probably share it now. I know they did release it, and Corey said I could, but even with Corcoran Reverie, um, has the green light to go ahead with the sports and entertainment division, which is as that rolls out, we'll be able to share more about the excitement to have even more refined resources when it comes to you know relocations or secondary markets or things like that to be able to better serve and have a more white glove experience. And it's just we already do it. It makes a lot of sense, but to have step into an either even deeper, more sensitive scenario, I think is huge, and it excites me. And I even have some clients that have been extremely successful, and almost everybody that I work with is already very humble people. But what's really neat is when somebody comes back to you and say, out of all the people that I know and of all the people that follow me, like you just treat me like Abigail. You just treat me like myself. Like the ability to connect with people and to be a cheerleader for them, but at the same time also be able to just to be open and transparent, honest, and like the decisions that we help guide you through are going to be in your best interest. Like, and we're going to tell you if it's something that we think it might not be the best choice, or give you the resources to do deeper research on it. So I think we could definitely expand pretty heavy on that part. But I was just curious of kind of where your brain's on, that navigation as we try to step into it. Luxury is already hard, and then you take another layer like that, and it's going to be a fun journey, I think, for us to really see how we can tap more into it. Um, yeah, I don't know anything else on that, or I was just kind of curious of your thoughts on it.
No, I think it's exciting. I think it so mirrors what we're doing anyways, right? Again, speaking to the fact that luxury is a level of service,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to provide that to people, I think is, always what I value. And so I think it's just another opportunity to be able to do that, be able to mirror where people are, respect them for what they've done. And again, I always go back to just creating that legacy, right? And that's what now that is the opportunity to do, create a legacy of a lifestyle change, create a legacy of potential investments for their kids to be able to one day revel in and really enjoy. Like it's such a special opportunity. And so, the ability to do that, I think is really something that it's very special.
Yeah, very excited about it for sure. And it's been a pipe dream for a long time, but a lot of people are out there that need help, and we definitely want to help for sure. All right, so actionable advice for listeners. So quick segment here. Okay, for anybody wanting to enter luxury markets, regardless of the industry, or if it's easier to speak to real estate, that's totally fine. Any type of advice that stands out, and you've shared some huge nuggets, so if it's redundant, just let me know. But is there anything that speaks out to somebody that's trying to elevate their business into a luxury market? Anything that sticks out from a tip to be able to kind of overcome that barrier?
One thing that I loved that was a tip for me was to read The Go-Giver
Mm,
by Bob Berg. I think that again speaks to this thought process of changing your perspective. And I think that is what has to happen at some point, right? You have to change your perspective of what luxury means, of what it means to serve people really.
mm-hmm.
So I think that's such a good tip. And then the other piece of it too, I think your words matter so much.
Yeah,
I've really resonated with Phil Jones and how he reminds people to think about the words that you're saying and think about how you're presenting yourself before you do it.
yeah,
And so that's been a huge thought process, is just stepping into that first and foremost. And then also when you think about how you're showing up for other people, I think it is also being open to refining yourself.
mm-hmm.
If you want to step into a luxury space, at some point you have to be willing to say no to something, because there is a truth to, not being able to be a master of absolutely everything. And at some point you have to be willing to be a specialist in just one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to say no to other opportunities in your life, and being able to focus on the one to truly refine. And once you're able to allow yourself to surrender the other things, I was trying at one point to continue to run my small marketing business and also run my real estate business. And at some point I had to allow myself to go, what do I want to be the best at,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just be okay at. And to be the best, you have to be willing to be open to partnering with other people and referring things out. It doesn't mean you're saying no, no, never. It is, let me connect you with somebody else. And being willing to release that, number one, it creates that go-giver mentality,
Yeah.
right? It also creates really cool relationships. And so that's the other sort of snippet there.
You're preaching to the choir here on that one. Because, like, as you know, with the coffee shops and everything else I've tried to start, and like that was my focus to finish out this year was to like just cut these things out and refine, where you want to head. So that's extremely great advice. And it's so easy to get distracted in this world and to put yourself, like you said, to give yourself the opportunity to, and grace to be able to do that. Like my struggles, I felt like I was going to miss out on things if I didn't try to do it or do them all. I even had a tug at the beginning of this year to try to get into luxury travel, like travel advising. And I was just like, I built a whole business out, but I put it to the side, and I was like, it's so parallel with everything else, but I mean, to be so good at that level requires so much commitment. And I just started a luxury network here in Birmingham, and I'll probably expand it out. But one of the ladies that came is a very skilled like luxury travel advisor agent,
Mm.
and I was like, she's been to 45 countries. She has people on the ground, like in majority of these locations, and that can change and adapt agendas in real time. And I'm like, it makes no sense for me to go that route. Like, it
Right.
makes more sense to lean into this, the luxury, the real estate component, and still have the home fit component that is almost like a concierge service to the lifestyle of the real estate, and just partner with those that are great at what they do.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a hard lesson, but it's fun when you start giving yourself the freedom to do that.
Right.
Uh, all right. Okay, we'll wrap it up. So, real quick, some kind of rapid fire questions if you've got like 3 or 4 more minutes, and then we can be done. Okay, cool. All right, and these are going to, again, not hard. What's your favorite hidden gem in gay? And you know a lot of them.
Are we talking about communities, restaurants? Like, what's the thought?
Let's say if you and your husband were going to say, what can we do like on a Saturday evening? Like, what's something that sticks out that y'all could do together? So maybe not a community. It could be. I don't know. That's just, I don't know if that prompt helps.
I would say I'm going to go event based just because a lot of people don't know all about our events on here. And one that I always for sure love to share with someone is what I mirrored earlier, which is probably our Songwriters Festival.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorites because I think it allows you to see the hidden gems too,
True.
whether it's our Coastal Dune Lakes, whether it's, being able to explore our different communities that we have down here and feel the voices that they all bring. I think that's probably one of my favorite, experiences here is being able to listen to the music, being able to connect with other locals that are here. And I will say the other hidden gem is probably what we refer to a little bit offline, which is different seasons.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite seasons here is probably this month, which is the month of October
Mm-hmm.
and the end of September, because the water is still crystal clear and super warm.
Mm-hmm.
And it also is absolutely beautiful weather out. It's a very, very special thing.
I love that. No, I appreciate sharing those for sure. We've got to get down there more. And now that I'm back in Birmingham, I'm only like 3.5, 4 hours away. So there's
Right,
literally no excuse at all.
right.
Okay, let's see. We've already talked about a ton of advice, so I'm going to skip that question. All right, this is going to be probably a hard one, but what's the best way, or what's your go-to way to unwind from a intense week?
I'm a big experience with other people. I love to, spend time with other people. That's probably one of my biggest love languages.
Yeah.
And so, one thing that we love to do is we have a German short haired pointer. His name is Boone,
Hmm.
and he comes with us pretty much anywhere that we can go. And so, we'll hop on the boat all together and just, be able to have whether it's afternoon, evening, sunset, it can be as short or as long as we want it to be, but we'll either go up the intercoastal, which is a really special experience, or just, be able to sit out on the bay, watch the sunset,
Hmm.
walk across a, little, what feels like a private beach and just be able to spend some time kind of unwinding. So,
That's awesome. Well, I feel like you probably hit both questions I was going to ask because someone made a good point to me a while back that they asked what I did to unwind and what do I do to recharge. And I never had separated those two before because to me, unwinding was more like, playing golf or something more kind of isolated. And the recharging was coming from being around people, actually doing things with people. Is there anything else that sticks out that might be different? It may not be, but like that actually recharges you. Like if you start getting run down and like kind of worn out from the hustle, from the grind, as they say, is would that still be the same thing, or is there something else that sticks out from a recharge?
It's so funny. Now that we've shifted and, things are finally starting to feel like we're getting into a more normalized movement of our business schedules and we're coming into the holiday season, I've had a really great opportunity to spend a lot more time with both friends, family, and customers.
Mm-hmm.
And that refuels me in a huge way. We just went and the other week, had some customers and friends that were in town, and they had a bonfire and invited us down, and we just got to spend the evening with them and just hang out. And then we went to dinner with another group. And that's where I get such a recharge, is because you get to hear about what they're falling in love with and what they're excited about. And you're like, we do live in the best place ever. You drive across a bridge and you see this beautiful intercoastal water and you see the Gulf and you're like, oh, this is just amazing. This weekend we went to a pumpkin patch and it was only, an hour and a half or so away because
Mm-hmm.
we're so close to Alabama, like you shared. And those are the recharge moments, right? When you actually get out there and you take the time to go to the beach, you take the
Yeah.
time to go to these events and chat with people and experience it. And that's what refuels me. It's because I'm like, yeah, we do live in a really, really incredible place and we have amazing people around us. And so that's what fills me up for sure.
No, good for you for being willing to do it. Some it's almost like what else? What do you do all this for? And it's you got to
Mm-hmm.
live too, and it's like to actually be intentional about leveraging the opportunities that are around you, and just driving there and going to see and be around those types of people is huge. And I think it's probably going to a lot of people are going to be. I think it's going to be a great takeaway for people that listen and watch this, because it's a huge thing that a lot of us forget until the holidays get here, and then you try to squeeze so much time out when it's like, don't forget to do that throughout the whole, you know, lots of the year. You know, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. Well, awesome. Okay, last question, then we'll definitely wrap up. If you weren't in real estate, it's going to be a hard question, I think for you. What would you What would you be doing?
Yeah, I am very much a person that's always thinking about this.
Sorry.
I know that I would be running a small business in a different thought process. If I was running a different small business, it would potentially be a myriad of things. One, I could actually, to your point, see myself running a coffee shop bookstore combination. Number two, I could go easily back into day of wedding coordination because I do love that, or potentially running a small business in a marketing firm. So pretty much the small businesses that I've run, I would probably just do that full
Right.
time.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I get that for sure. It was cool to hear about your thoughts on the yoga potential studio as well. I
Mhm.
see the draw on that, because you're somebody that definitely embraces the essence of life, and I think it definitely it shows in everything that you do. But it makes sense to draw, of trying to go the routes that will make you slow down and embrace it on such a level. It's awesome. Well, cool. Anything else you want to share, or do you feel like that's a good oversight? I feel like this was a great one, and I'm grateful for your time for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. I think this was awesome. So I'm excited to keep seeing you do these. I can't wait to see who else you bring on.
Well, you're probably going to be the star one for quite some time. Any social media handles or anything you want to share with people? Obviously, I'll have them in the show notes, but just curious, best way to follow you.
Yes, I am all over the socials. My handle is at Abigail Davis 38 Realtor. So if anyone wants to follow, that's for sure. I always love the encouragement to continue to do what you're doing. That's for sure. And then, of course, share the snippets of the area. And then to your point, too, one thing that I was just chatting the other day with one of our local magazines down here, and
Hmm.
she had also asked questions of other people to bring on. So just for, your piece too, if you haven't, like, if you want to ask other people as you get it finished with these interviews, this is
Yeah.
just between you and I too.
Yeah.
She asked a really great question that I loved. And she was like, who else do you think would be like, who would you recommend to put on the show? And that was how she was getting other people. So whenever you bring other people on, I think that's a really fun way for them to be able to give you great ideas and then also be able to recommend other people.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
that was I loved that question when she asked that to me. And I was like, this is such a great question. So if you want to ask other people as you bring them on, I think it's a great opportunity for you to keep expanding out. And then also it's fun for them to be able to recommend people that, mean a lot to them. So
Yeah, especially when they've had an opportunity to do it. So yeah, I'm happy to anybody you recommend. We can chat more about it offline, but would love to do it because I don't plan on letting up. And there's just so many people out there that deserve the opportunity to tell their story, and have another source of medium as well to try to help market themselves and share ideas that can be helpful and to be open and transparent and to share personalities, which I think is what helps people to connect with us. So, all right. I
yeah.
appreciate everybody listening. Abigail, I appreciate your time and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks
All
again.
right. Thank you.